Well, there is that recent saying, isn't it? Pace is pace, yaar. And when you see Mark Wood bowling like that, you know what the reasons as to why the Lucknow Super Giants paid big money for him a couple of years ago, and in spite of missing out all season with an injury last time, they retained him because they wanted this. 2 at the end, 2 at the start. He had the most severe blow, you could say, on this game, and it ends in quite a emphatic win for the Super Giants and a tame ending for the Delhi Capitals, who at half-time on ESPN Cricket for T20 timeout, Tom Moody thought with their strong batting resources they at least should have come close to this score, if not chase it down. But I guess safe to say, Moody, that the difference in this game was indeed Mark Wood.
Without a doubt, the impact he had just blew away, the middle of Delhi Capitals batting, and it just goes to show you the importance of having those impact type players. You have it with the bat, the Chris Gales historically of the IPL and the AB de Villiers that have the ability just to change the game. But then you have the likes of your Mark Woods that bowl 150, Jofra Archer, Jasper Bumrah, these type of special players that have the ability, and then you have your mystery spinners that do the same. So great for him. It's a good story because it was only 12 months ago, he was under severe threat with surgery to his elbow, I think it was. He's had a lot of setbacks with injuries. It's just nice to see people that have had to work hard to get back to the top level and get the reward. Bless you.
Thank you. Did I just call you Moody in that last line?
You might have done.
Yeah, I might have done.
It's fine, it's late.
Yeah, I was between Wood and Tom and Moody. Anyway, that's brilliant. I must ask you though, was this just too fast when you see Prithvi Shaw get bowled, when you see Mitch Marsh, who's in the in top form, get bowled? Was that just quick, or is there something else about Mark Wood that sets him apart?
I think it's a bit of both. I think he sort of hurried a few of the batsmen up, there's no question. Mitch Marsh, I think, was an extravagant first ball shot against a bowler that that's going to run in and bowl 150. So maybe more of a measured approach from him, even though he is seeing the ball like watermelons at the moment. But, still pay respect to, the first couple of balls, particularly when you've got a high-class fast bowler. So I think it's a combination of both. When you have a bowler that's bowling up around that 150 mark, it certainly does change the psyche of the dugout and certainly the players out in the middle.
How would you describe, Tom, that David Warner innings, 56 of 48?
I describe it's similar to a number of innings we've seen from him over the last couple of years. His template of how he plays T20 cricket has changed somewhat. When we've seen David Warner in the early parts of his career, he'd take the game on and put you under enormous pressure. But we've seen increasingly over the last few years, a more of a measured approach. Whether he felt the batting was going to get easier as the innings unfolded and the dew fell and it was harder for the bowlers to grip the ball, or whether it was because the loss of wickets around him drew him back into his shell, only he can answer that. But
he didn't elaborate on this thought in the end, towards the end of his Sunrisers days with you?
Yeah, well, that was one of the reasons, when we had to make a difficult decision when we had to leave him out of the side because Bairstow was in red-hot form, Williamson was in red-hot form, and we had one other batter, I'm trying to remember, it was a few years ago now.
The 2 years back, you're saying? The 3 years back, was it?
Yeah. And we had to include an all-rounder because the balance of the side was wrong. And David was the one that was, that was clearly, struggling with the fluency of his game.
All right. Well, it's early days, but we will keep an eye on how David Warner approaches this season as captain of the Delhi Capitals. Let's just recap the rest of the game and what stood out. It seemed like everything worked for Lucknow, funny enough, with the exception of KL Rahul's runs, which I guess, if anything, would only give them more satisfaction today. The impact sub seemed to have an impact. Ravi Bishnoi had a good outing. Avesh Khan was steady, and pretty much everyone, with the exception of Rahul, contributed. So you'd say that's a lot of ticks on after the first match day?
Yeah, they'll be very happy. Again, playing at home, giving their home ground supporters, a win first up, and we all know every team's playing those 7 games at home, and I think it's important that they have that dominance at home. So there's a few boxes ticked there. A number of people contributing to that performance. Yeah, we talked about Woods 5 wickets, but there's a number of people contributing to that performance. So, they'll only gain confidence out of that performance and be stronger for it.
Yeah, it's only 3 games, Tom, so far, but all 3 won by the home team. So as the IPL returns to its home and away format, are we already seeing some teams well prepared, or just the home teams well prepared to make their home advantage count?
Yeah, look, I think that they've obviously had their camp at home as well, so they've spent probably up to 2 weeks, in some cases more than that, around that environment. So the dressing room is familiar, the ground's familiar. They would have had countless fielding trainings out in the middle. They probably would have had a couple of centre wicket practices as well. So there's a lot of familiar things for them, where you've got the visiting team coming in a day or 2 before the match. Again, just finding those adjustments. So those small things make a difference, but it's still only a sample size.
Yeah, and this Lucknow surface was an interesting one, right? I mean, it looks like it was an advantage for a team to come here maybe a week, 10 days earlier and just have a look at the outfield, the surface today.
Yeah, the outfield was a bit sluggish, and the ball sort of pitched into the surface, but the actual pitch itself also, I thought, it just held, stopped a little bit. The odd ball just held and gripped a little bit. So it is going to be interesting to see how that does play as the season unfolds, because you'd think that it's going to start taking even more turn.
On the other hand, though, we don't make too many judgments from one game, but for the Capitals, it's fair to say their batting was pretty much full strength. If anything, with the absence of their 3 overseas fast bowlers, they were allowed to play both Russo and Rovman Powell. It's expected to only get weaker if you play an overseas fast bowler, which they also missed with the way their dead bowling went. I wonder what takeaways you have for the Capitals here.
Well, sometimes, when you strengthen an area to a point of, being a luxury, you can nearly look at, too much over your shoulder, thinking, oh, well, someone else will do the job. We bat deep today, so I can play with a bit more freedom, or be a little bit more reckless. Reckless is probably not the right word, but adventurous with my approach. But that backfired. There's no doubt that's a very strong side. And this is just a minor hiccup for Delhi, I think. But, they're only going to get stronger with the inclusion of, particularly of Andre Nokia. He brings that Mark Wood sort of X factor, that genuine pace.
I think they play next on Monday. So I'm curious to see if the South Africans will be in India by then. But once Quinton de Kock is available for Lucknow, does poor old Kyle Mayers just have to be dropped after what was clearly a match-winning innings today?
Yeah, look, it's going to be an interesting one. I think the other person that may be under pressure could be Marcus Stoinis. It doesn't necessarily need to be Kyle Mayers. I think the impact that Mayers had, and the form that he showed, and the ability that he can bowl an over or 2, which is basically what Stoinis is doing. They may go with the form of that against just giving him the one outing and then sitting him out. So it'll be a very interesting selection meeting, I'm sure.
And Mayers is again someone who can give you the odd overs.
Yeah,
you never know.
Absolutely.
It's not like you're losing out on the all-round option. All right. Early days and still plenty to discuss, as the IPL tends to be that way. It's time to say thank you and good night to Tom Moody. See you again in a few minutes. These games come thick and fast, not much rest time in between. So thank you very much to Tom. And we will have him for build-up to Sunrisers against Rajasthan Royals, which is the afternoon game on Sunday. Then you got Bangalore and Mumbai as we finally have a look at all teams, all 10 teams in this year's IPL. So look forward to your company then on ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout. Before I leave you, again a reminder, if you haven't already, just download the ESPN Cricket for mobile app, head over to the App Store, the Play Store. It's the fastest scores you'll get, the most trusted news and analysis, and plenty more as we continue our coverage of this year's tournament. We'll see you 3 o'clock if you're in our part of the world tomorrow afternoon. Good night.